I have now opened one file into Photoshop, and it's at the right size and resolution. And I can't stress how important that is. I opened a Photoshop, I made it a Photoshop file, I made it 8 inches by 10 inches by 350, as long as it's at least 8 by 10 by 300. This is after you have all your sources found. So find your source images first. Then you set up your Photoshop file. I'm also doing it in Photopea, just to show you how you can practice this at home. And I did the same thing. I set it up in Photopea, and how would I get an image in? I can drag and drop from the desktop or from my folder, drag and drop it in. It comes in with what's called a transform box. I can rotate that. I can shrink it. I can right click it and then warp it. But I can't erase from it. So that's what we found in Photoshop as well. Because how are we learning to erase? We're not using the eraser tool. We're just using the move tool, the arrow at the top to move things around to transform. And then we're using the lasso tool to cut things out. But if I try to delete, it will say it has to be rasterized first because it's a smart object. So Photopea asks you if you want to rasterize it, you say okay, and then it's rasterized and you delete. In Photoshop, this is how it works. I lasso it, I want to delete it, it won't let me. I say okay, but it doesn't automatically rasterize it because that's a dangerous decision. So in order to be able to cut out from it, to delete pixels, I need to right click and then say rasterize the layer. So what does rasterize mean? It means now we own the pixels. The pixels are now copied into that Photoshop file for us to manipulate. As smart objects, they are always referencing that outside file and opening that outside file inside our Photoshop window. So it's more like web design. Rasterizing means now these are like brush strokes that we made in Photoshop. Now that it's rasterized, you see that little black smart object square has gone away and I can delete. But I don't even want you to worry about deleting too much or even transforming too much right now. The first thing I want you to do is to bring in at least 5 references, right? So I'm going to bring in this vector one, and then I'm immediately going to turn it around and hold down shift and kind of stretch it a little bit, right click and warp it, but I'm not going to rasterize and delete yet. Now what you'll see is that these black and white images are black pixels and white pixels, and maybe there's some colored pixels in there too, depending on your source material, right? And I'm just trying to find kind of the lines I like. So now I have 2 of them in, but you see how the white pixels are obscuring the ones behind it. I think that's fine for now, but I'm going to show you how we can view it later where we don't see any of those white pixels. So now I'm going to bring in the next one.
Mr. Frey, in order to see the next one, did you change the, what is it?
I just turned the eyeball on and off.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm keeping them all at 100% opacity for now. And eventually this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all of them and I'm going to change them from normal mode to multiply mode. But that gets real confusing real quick, right? But that takes away all the white pixels so you're only seeing the dark pixels come through. So I'm just going to keep them at normal and 100% as I stack all 5 of them. So I'm going to do the flowing locks of this one next. And maybe warp it just a little. When you're transforming and warping, you'll notice that the resolution looks like it goes down. That's just because it's previewing it. It's when you hit return at the end of it that it will clean up again. And don't worry about watermarks and things that we'll delete later yet. Okay, so I've got 3 layers now added. Bring this one in. This is the one I found earlier today. And I'm going to really zoom in. So just a few things that can help. Remember, Command minus zooms out. Command plus zooms in. For this one, I'm going to really zoom in on it. So I'm going to zoom out on the whole thing so I can see the corners. And then instead of just dragging it from a corner to scale it, I'm going to hold down Option while I drag it from the corner, and that will grow it from the middle. Because I really just want that chest plate, really big. Now, if I make it too big, it's going to start to soften, right? Because even though it was over 1,000 by 1,000 pixels, I still want to make sure it doesn't get too soft. So that's at 400%. At 100%, it looks like that. That's a little blurrier than I want, so I'm not going to make it that big. So I'm going to do Command T again. I'm going to hold down Option. I'm going to shrink it down. The beautiful thing about it being a smart object is you can stretch it as much as you want, and it won't ever own those pixels, right? It will always reference the original pixels. So if I make it too big like I just did, and then just say, oh shoot, I want to make it smaller, it will still be clean. Whereas if I rasterized it, then made it really big, and then decided, no, I want to make it really small, it will just ruin that pixel resolution. It will make it really blurry, right? Because first I had to invent a whole lot of pixels, and then I had to shrink them all. So that looks a little bit cleaner. Hit return. All right. So good for now. And now I need one more. You can do more than 5, but you do need a minimum of 5. And I thought this one was hilarious. This was the He-Man from, I think, the 1990s. And he is oh so 90s. Even though the line quality is a little different, I thought it was really funny. So I'm going to throw that in as my 5th. Now, the other thing I can do is I can flip it. So you see He-Man there, very legible. If I right-click, I can also flip it horizontally, right? And get a flipped image. And you can tell you can't read it anymore. It's backwards. And I can also, warp it. I can make his sword look like macaroni. Do all kinds of things. Power of raster imaging. Okay, then hit return. Okay, now I have 5 images stacked on a white background, and all of them look pretty good. If I hit Command 0, you can see I'm at 8 by 10 by 300 pixels per inch, and I'm seeing it at 24% of its actual pixels. That means the pixels I'm seeing on my monitor are only 24% of the actual pixels that are there, because screen resolution is so much less than print resolution. So that's a good sign. So that one, that looks good. Nice and clean. That one, that looks good. Pretty clean. That one looks a little bit softer, but pretty good. That one, nice and clean. That one, nice and clean. All right. Now, how do I go about deciding what I want to keep? Well, I'm going to go through and I'm going to hit the blending mode, change it from normal to multiply on each one as I go down, from normal to multiply. And it's going to get more and more chaotic as I go because I haven't deleted anything yet, right? So it's going to become a big scribble. I'm going to do it for all 5. Okay, now I'm going to turn off these eyeballs and go back to my original, my favorite, the one I started with. And I'm going to use my tablet for this, but you can use your mouse, you can use a trackpad. And now I switch to only using the lasso tool. This is our preferred selection tool. It gives you the most control. It's not the top. So if it says selection brush does not work great for this project, right? Instead, switch it to the lasso, which is right under the selection brush. It's the 3rd tool down, the lasso tool. Or L is the shortcut for that drawer, but you still have to choose the right tool in that drawer. So to make the lasso, it's just like scissors. I'm going to first get rid of the eyes. So in movies, the cliche is if it's a serial killer or a stalker, they find photos of the person and they gouge out the eyes. So we get to pretend we're digital versions of that. Right? So I'm just going to cut off heads, anything identifiable. And what I like to do is I like to cut off edges as well. So anything that kind of gets cropped off to the side, I just cut it out. You can be pretty liberal about it. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next layer. And in order to cut it out, what do I need to do? Because if I try, yeah, it's not going to let me. So yes, I need to right-click on it, the highlighted layer, and say rasterize. Then it will get rid of that little black box, and now I'm able to delete. Now, what is the first thing I want to delete? I can hit Command plus to zoom in. I can hold down space bar while I'm zoomed in to move around. And I'm going to get rid of their eyes, right? Or I might just get rid of everything that overlaps right there with the layer beneath. Or I might just do kind of loopy shapes. I don't like how that leg looks. Let's get rid of that. And you're editing freely, cutting things away, making your own composition. Doesn't need to be perfectly clean or perfectly controlled. We're just learning the basics of modifying other people's pixels right now. Now, I might decide, I only have 2 layers showing, right? I might decide I want to go to the layer underneath and like get rid of the Castle Grayskull eyes. Let that line art show up a little bit cleaner. So that's erasing from the layer underneath. Now, this is one of the beautiful things. Selections move between layers. So I just have 2 layers selected, right? I might not even know where the lines are coming from, but I don't like this shape right here, that dark line. So I'm going to select around it, and I can hit delete and say, oh, it didn't get rid of the dark line. And then I can hit Command Z to undo it, and then I can just click on the next layer and then hit delete, because the selection will move between layers. Incredibly helpful. Okay, now let's build a 3rd layer on. And we talked a lot last week about we have to be willing to work actively. We have to just get started. We have to not be afraid to fail. We're going to learn more from our mistakes. So don't try to be perfectionist as you're doing this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize that 3rd layer so I can start erasing. Immediately I'm going to cut out this elbow because I don't want things, for my own taste, I don't like things cut off at the edges. I want it to be free floating and self-contained. So I'm going to trim this really thick elbow down. There we go. I'm going to erase the eyes, gouge them out serial killer style. And then start aggressively editing other parts. Basically, the thing I like from this is his shoulder pad. So what I might do is roughly select, using the magic wand, inside the shoulder pad here. And if I hit delete, it will get rid of the shoulder pad. That's not what I want. Command Z, but I can take that selection and delete it from the layers underneath and reveal the shoulder pad. Right? I don't really like his